Hey everyone, Jamen back with the topic of the Brooklyn Singularity, just giving a brief introduction to the topic now. Now I talked about in the other topic, another video in the series on scenarios of global transformation. Um, you know, while we cannot predict exactly what vectors or scenarios will come into play, predicting history is a bit of a challenge. However, what we can do is create a model. If you read Kurt Vonnegut's book, Cat's Cradle, you'll know about ICE-9. It's basically, we're talking about a seed crystal that has the power to just propagate like crazy, right? You've seen ice crystals growing dendritically, on a windshield or a surface or even in 3 dimensions. This is like that, but just greatly accelerated. And the Brooklyn Singularity is one possible example of such a transformation, such a seed crystal, right? And it's one I'm pretty excited about, I and a bunch of others. Even though we don't have a definite name for it yet. Anyway, this is kind of a code name, Brooklyn Singularity. But the idea is that in the borough of Brooklyn, New York City, we radically transform the place, starting with feeding everyone, offering everyone nutritious, whole food, plant-based diets, foods, literally delivered right to their homes, right? We might make weekly deliveries or every couple days. I don't know what frequency. We'll figure all that out. We've got more questions than answers at this point as to how, but that would be one of the centers of the Brooklyn Singularity, would be feeding everyone in Brooklyn nutritious, whole food, plant-based diets, with a view to accomplishing many great goals, with a nod to the topic of goals within the conversation. But one of the goals is making sure everyone is nourished, right? Eradicate hunger and malnutrition in Brooklyn, period, just gone, off the table. And then also in periods of pandemic, such as the present moment, we can empower people to stay at home and be healthy. These are immune boosting. I don't think I mentioned that, but that's crucial. Immune boosting, whole food, plant-based diets. Boosting your immune system and letting you stay at home where you don't have social contact. And with this, having this capability, regardless of how long we do home delivery and then later shift into a different modality of, say, like community cafes, for example, which I'll talk about in a separate video later. Anyway, the Brooklyn Singularity also involves the transformation of food networks, feeding Brooklyn. And there's different elements of this. There's from growing your own food at home, whether it's backyard gardens, rooftop gardens, windowsill gardens, indoor hydroponics, et cetera, whether it's community gardens, whether it's community permaculture, whether it's agriculture, right? CSAs, community supported agriculture, all the way to big ag. I mean, the grains have to come from somewhere, right? So we have to deal with all that, being fully conscious that we're creating a model, a prototype, an experiment, to be honest, which as it becomes successful, I'm not saying if successful, as it becomes successful, it will spread and evolve and be implemented in different places, kind of like Linux. You can just totally open source. But part of the beauty of the Brooklyn Singularity is that we get the attention of the world. We kick it off with a press conference. And I'll include the link below here to the press conference I did with President Vicente Fox back in 2013, which itself was the singular moment within a larger singularity of the transformation of prohibition of drugs, specifically cannabis, and criminal drug cartels and their activity, etc. So the Brooklyn Singularity, I think, should be kicked off with a press conference that announces the broad goals. Food is the most immediate, food and ending pandemics. But then that would evolve to encompass other basic human needs, right? Such as shelter, healthcare, access to bathrooms and laundry services and parks and recreation and nature and volunteer opportunities and libraries and all kinds of good stuff. So, and beyond that, right, we have, the related topics of the ongoing evolution of humanity and where do we want to get to? Topic of our goal or goals or destination, where do we want to get to within the topic of the conversation? So the Brooklyn Singularity is about radically transforming Brooklyn and making it that seed crystal of ice-9 that can then propagate, right, and evolve as it goes. It's a really big topic, and we've got some really amazing allies with the vegan community, Vegan World 2026, the medical community led by Dr. Priya Naik. We've got a community of communities coming together, not necessarily 100% in agreement on everything. In fact, a lot of these communities don't even know about this Brooklyn Singularity or Brooklyn, New York, or anything like that. And because it's just so nascent, it's so new. But I'm just putting the topic out there. Imagine we did this, right? And a press conference that communicated to the world not just what we're setting out to do in Brooklyn, but even our larger goals. Well, who's we? This gets back to the I versus we. I point to that topic. But it's a decentralized movement, the whole Brooklyn Singularity, and yet there would be a press conference kicking it off. That's, this apparent contradiction. Well, are they controlling it? Nobody's controlling it. Nobody's controlling anything. But what we can do is very powerful. Lots more to say about the Brooklyn Singularity. I think it needs to be preceded by the conversation, right? In terms of, in other words, if we're going to go deep into the Brooklyn Singularity as a topic, let's first have the conversation preceded, even if it's a 5-minute check-in on the conversation. Where is everybody at? Okay, great. Bam. Okay, good to know. Now let's go to the Brooklyn Singularity. In fact, the conversation is a great way of, syncing up with each other on where each of us is coming from, right? What we believe, what we're aiming to achieve, etc. And we get to, anyway, I could go on. Yeah, the Brooklyn Singularity. So let's get it on. Okay. Look forward to seeing you in the conversation. Please see radish.org for meetings, and we can talk about it face to face. Thanks so much, everyone. See you soon.